Hey, Marcus Hutzel here, and in this hopefully either last video of 2021 or possibly the first video of 2022, I'm going to show you my setup here in my home office that I use for not only my YouTube videos, but also just as a regular work from home office and for virtual meetings while I'm in this space. A few people have commented on some of my other videos that they'd like to see my setup, and so I thought I'd take this time to show you just that. And this is primarily how this space has been for most of 2021, and we'll see how it evolves in the next year. But we need to start at the beginning, so follow me. All right, so my current home office and YouTube space that I film videos in is just in a spare room here in my home that I share with my wife and a few cats, all of whom are hiding right now. But as you can see, this is a fairly small room. It's only 9.5 feet by 11.5 feet. And if you can see behind me, that half of the room is taken up by like non-YouTube stuff. I've got a full-on like love seat, lazy boy recliner sofa over there. And on this side, I actually have, a TV, surround sound speakers, and everything back there so that we can come in here and, maybe watch movies in surround sound for a little bit more of a cozy feel and not use the main living space. And I also have to share this office occasionally with one of our cats, Jasmine. That's her little castle thing over there. She can jump up on there and look out the window if I have the window open. And I have to store all the cat accoutrements down in the bottom too. So again, fairly small space. There's my desk behind me, which we'll get to in a sec. But I just wanted to show you how small this space actually is to kind of show that you don't have to have a lot of space. You just have to make your space organized and make sure your camera view to the rest of the world looks good. So that's about enough of that. Let's get to the fun stuff, but let me set this down for a sec. All right, camera 1 rolling, camera 2 rolling. So keep one thing in mind here, and that's that I've been accumulating a lot of what you're about to see for a long time. Some of this stuff is new, some of it is old, as in I've had some of this gear going on 18 years now, but I take care of my gear, and even my old gear still operates just like it was new. So take care of your gear and it will last you a long time. All right, let's start with the desk. This is a pro audio style desk that I got at Guitar Center back in 2004. It's meant as an audio mixing desk. It has this upper shelf area meant for studio monitors. And as you can see, that's where I have my studio monitors or speakers. We'll come back to those. And this desk is by no means perfect, but it's what I have. It works well enough and it fits in my office. It's actually a bit smaller than I would like, but I just can't fit a bigger desk in here right now with all this other stuff on the other side of the room. It has this curved top, which isn't my favorite thing because it kind of reduces the size of the top of the desk and makes the available surface area a little bit smaller than I'd like, because I like to keep things off of the top of the desk as much as possible so I can keep the desk and my brain organized. But it does allow some space in the corner to store more stuff that I don't need very often. So probably not my ideal desk, but it works great and fits in this space. Anyway, over to my right is my laptop shelf. And as soon as I come into the office with my laptop, I immediately put it up on this shelf and not on the desk itself. This keeps it up and out of my way, but still close enough to use the screen as a second monitor. And as you can see, it's kind of floating. The shelf isn't sitting on the desk either. I have a VESA mounting arm attached to the back corner of the desk, and I attached a laptop tray to the end of the arm. And that makes this cool floating area for my laptop. And that means I can still use the desk surface underneath the laptop to store other things. Mounted underneath the laptop is a Thunderbolt 3 dock, and this is kind of the brain of my setup. This is a Kensington SD5200T Thunderbolt 3 dock. It's a bit of an older dock, but it's still great and still works with my brand new 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro that I got earlier in 2021. And it was less expensive than most of its competitors, which is one of the reasons I picked it up. The Thunderbolt 3 dock allows me to connect a single Thunderbolt 3 cable to my MacBook Pro to give it not only power, but it also connects all of my peripherals to my laptop with this single cable. So power, my monitor, wired internet, several other USB hubs that are plugged into the Thunderbolt dock. It all communicates over this single cable, but it must be a Thunderbolt 3 cable, not just a USB-C cable, so keep that in mind. So I come in, I set my laptop down, connect one cable, and I'm up and running in a few seconds from mobile laptop to full production suite. Oh, and before I forget, my wireless keyboard and mouse go on the built-in keyboard tray on this desk. A separate keyboard tray for me is an absolute must. I do not like my keyboard sitting up on the main desk. That means the main desk surface can be kept clear. I can take notes over here. I can have other projects I'm working on, or I can keep a cup of coffee right there so that I can still have coffee, notes, other projects, and still be able to do whatever I need to do on my computer because the keyboard and mouse are stored underneath and not taking up space on the desk. I use the Apple Magic Mouse. I love this thing. This is the older one that takes actually 2 AA batteries, so you don't have to plug a cable in to charge it and therefore not be able to use the mouse. Don't know why Apple did that. And this is actually a Matthias multi-connection Bluetooth keyboard. It's okay, works well enough, and it connects to multiple devices if needed. All right, moving on to the center of the desk. This desk, since it's a pro audio style desk, has standard 19-inch rack rails where I've mounted a few things. I've got a drawer up top that holds a lot of cables, microphone, and whatnot, just to keep everything off the desk and organized. Underneath that, I have a pull-out shelf, which I have an older laptop sitting on, so I can pull out this shelf, open up the laptop, have another workstation to do something else on while still being able to see my main monitor and use my main computer setup. So that's just there. Slides in really nicely. Below that laptop shelf is the audio brains of my setup, which is this Mackie Big Knob. This is the original Big Knob, and I've had this thing since it came out in 2004. So this thing is over 17 going on 18 years old. And this is the original version, so it doesn't have any USB connectivity, it has no mic preamps, it's completely analog inputs and outputs. But of course, since it doesn't have any USB connectivity, if I need to record anything into my computer, I either have to use a USB mic or use a standard XLR mic and then use something like a Behringer UM2 or any other audio interface to get signal into my computer. Anyway, I have my speakers and my subwoofer hooked up to the outputs of the Big Knob so I can turn off the feed to the subwoofer or speakers if needed. I then have the headphone output of the Big Knob routed back behind my desk using a 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch adapter, then an 1/8 inch extension cable that goes back behind my desk, and that cable comes down and is mounted just under the left side of my desk here, which is also where I have my Sony MDR7506 headphones sitting most of the time so that I can use these if I need to be quieter in the space or just listen more carefully. But since that cable is routed back behind the desk and not over top of it, it keeps the desk clean, which again is a big deal to me, keeping my area nice and clean. The Mackie Big Knob really works well for what I need to do here at my desk every day. I really like this piece of gear. It gives me lots of control over my audio. Coffee. Over to the left here is a little custom drawer unit that I built specifically for this desk. I just needed more places to put stuff, so I built this little set of drawers to keep cables, hard drives, and other small parts and accessories in. And I made sure it fit perfectly underneath this shelf. It actually helps support the shelf since this desk originally had a support. I had to take the support out, so I built these drawers exactly to the height of this shelf. So the drawers not only help me organize, but they help support the weight of the speaker on top so the shelf doesn't start bending and swaying and sagging in the breeze. Moving on up, my main monitor is a 24-inch Dell Ultra Sharp 2414 monitor, which I have mounted on a height adjustable VESA arm so that I can raise the monitor and lower it up and down as needed to reveal my main A camera, my Panasonic GH5. And the reason I went this method of raising the monitor up is simply because when I started filming and having meetings in this space, I just felt that having the camera in a position that gave me the best view of the space with minimal distractions in the background was best, and that's the view you're seeing right now. And it means that when I film in this direction that I don't always have to clean up the other side of the office if it's a bit messy. So sometimes I can just throw anything that's in my background over on that small couch, and then this camera can't see it. And because I wanted my camera and my monitor right in front of me, I needed to figure out a way to have either my monitor or my camera ready at a moment's notice. So my solution was just to make the monitor height adjustable, up, down, up, as needed. And it means I can keep my camera mounted there most of the time and not have to move it much. So when I'm ready to film or have a meeting, I just raise up my monitor and my camera is there and pretty much ready to go. And my monitor raises up just enough for me to fit my homemade teleprompter in front of the camera because I need a teleprompter. And I also have my camera mounted on another VESA arm attached to the back of my desk so that the camera isn't sitting on something like a small tripod. Doing this keeps the area under the camera nice and clear and more stable than using something like a mini tripod. So with my camera mounted here most of the time, I have lots of cables fixed to this location, like a dummy battery so the camera always stays on AC power. I have a couple of 1/8" cables coming down from where my mic is mounted, so I have a short and a long cable in case I want to use my camera in a different position. I don't have to run another 1/8" audio cable, I just swap the cable up at the mic and voila, longer cable. There's an HDMI cable here as well, so I can send the video output from my camera over to my computer and use something like a USB to HDMI capture card to feed my camera into my computer for virtual meetings. And I have another 1/8" extension cable here at my camera, and that cable goes from the headphone output of my camera into my Mackie Big Knob so I can feed the output of my camera into my headphones so that I can listen to and check audio signal from my camera before I hit record. Because remember, having an audio signal show up on your audio meters on your camera does not mean that it sounds good or it's the right signal. You should always check both visually with the camera's meters and audibly with headphones. And my setup allows me to do that. I've actually had to redo some recordings because I thought my audio was good because I only looked at the audio levels and didn't listen. I didn't take my own advice. Lesson learned. So look at the signal with your ears and listen with your eyes. Wait, stop that. Reverse it. Either way, check both. All right, onwards. As you can see on the left and right of my monitor are my speakers. These are pro audio style speakers. They're studio monitors. I've had these since 2003, so yeah, these are definitely 18 plus years old, but they still work great. However, recently I wanted something smaller, so I switched over to these are the PreSonus Iris E5s. I wanted something a little smaller and more compact here at my desk. And despite the fact that they're smaller, they actually have a little bit more low end. So when paired with the subwoofer, they work very well. And I think my whole setup sounds pretty good. For audio input, I have my main mic, my Rode Video Mic NTG, mounted on an articulating arm that goes up and over my computer monitor and is actually mounted to another VESA mounting arm that is attached to the back of my desk. And having both the VESA arm and this articulating arm gives me a lot of options to move the mic around, up and down, and position it where I need. Still in frame. And I use either of those two 1/8" cables running down the microphone arm to connect the mic to my cameras, or I use the USB-A to USB-C cable that I also have mounted on that articulating arm to connect the mic directly to my computer if I need to have a quick virtual meeting. And I just keep the other end of that USB cable, kind of stashed away over here on the side of my desk so I can pull it out, plug it into my dock, which then connects to my computer over that single cable we talked about, and one cable gets my mic into my computer very quickly. This setup with my microphone makes it very easy to go from recording on my camera to recording directly to my computer with this specific microphone. For my main light, I currently have a relatively inexpensive light, a Neewer 480. It's an LED panel style light with a diffuse softbox on it, as well as an extra diffuser in front of it to make the light softer on my face. And if you want to know more about this light, I did a video about that. You can watch it here or I'll link it down below. And that whole rig, the light and the extra diffuser, is suspended from the ceiling on 1/2" pipe that I got from Home Depot. And I created these drop down points for mounting gear over my desk. I installed these two mounts to keep stands off the floor and to have a place over the top of my desk where I can mount a camera to do top-down shots, and sometimes I mount other lights up there like I have right now. I've got a Neewer 660 right here just providing a little ambiance for you. And I detail out how I built the main overhead rig in this other video here or down below if you're interested. It's fairly cheap to do as long as you have access to the joists in your ceiling. Other features and toys. I have a Neewer 660 mounted up on the ceiling and to my right that provides an extra rim light and kind of this side light here on my right side. Although today I'm actually using an extra light, this Godox ML60 Bi right there, that's just providing some nice ambiance for this video today. So actually, if I turn this off, you can still see that I have this side/rim light from my main Neewer 660. And that Neewer 660 is controllable via Apple HomeKit. Check this out. Turn off backlight. Turn on backlight. In fact, most of the auxiliary lighting in my office is set up on Apple HomeKit using either Philips Hue bulbs or smart plugs. Here, let me turn off my key light. Check this out. Turn off office. So I can effectively turn off almost the entire office, other than this spare light that I'm using today, using Apple HomeKit. Turn on office. There we go. I have my key light on a manual switch, so I can just turn it on and off as needed. Let's get that ambiance going. All right, back to the video. The rest of the office consists of a custom shiplap wall, that wood wall that you see behind me that I built and installed myself. I did a video on that as well, and you can see that either up here or again down in the description. And as stated, various smart bulbs and some Edison lights back there as well to add color and texture to my background. Over here to my left is actually my closet. This is where I keep most of my clothing day to day, and where I keep extra boxes of printer, paper shredder, all that good stuff. And it's covered up by this awesome skull backdrop that my wife got me. I love skulls. I think they connect all of us because all humans have a skull. Whether or not they have something inside it is a different question altogether, but I digress. Let's go back to the main camera view. Whew. All right, I think that's it. I've spent a lot of time making this space the best that I can, given how small it is. A lot of my toys, tricks, and custom pieces just make it more enjoyable and easier to get things done when I'm in this space. And remember, I've spent a long time, many years, accumulating a lot of this stuff, and only a couple of years in front of the camera doing videos like this one. So remember, Rome and YouTube studios aren't built in a day. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour, and let me know if you have any questions. And please let me know if you've learned anything from my setup, or if you'd like to see anything here in a little more detail, and I'll see you in the next one. Later. Oh, this entire rig fell off the stool and onto the floor, and I can't believe it, but it all appears to still be in perfect working condition, hopefully.